Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. For the new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. For the viewers, thank you for clicking this video. So guys, in today's video I'm going to be explaining what the SDI entry model is. Now guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Confident and I've been training for over 4 years now, and I have used tons of strategy, guys. I've started off learning indicators. I did go through the iMarket Live path for like two months, paid like $200 and something per month. I've paid mentors, I've paid people, guys. I've literally been paying a lot of people to gain knowledge. And guys, over the last 3 years, I've been able to gain so much knowledge that literally that knowledge made me create my own strategy. And also through the help of God too, right? But that's besides the point. But the thing is, guys, I've literally been able to watch the market so much that has literally opened my eyes, right, to creating my own strategy, which is called the SDI entry model. And guys, the SDI entry model stands for Shooting Star Doji, literally. So this SDI entry model, guys, requires you to understand only two candlestick patterns: the Doji candle and the Shooting Star candle. Now, the reason why the logic works is very simple. The Doji candle, guys, is simply an indecision, right? So when price gives you a Doji candle, it's simply an indecision in the market, meaning price doesn't know where it wants to go. Now the logic is price needs to take out either the low or the high of that Doji candle, meaning liquidity sweep, meaning a fake out. And then when price gives you my entry candle, which is going to be the Shooting Star, right? The logic is price has then now decided on what it wants to do. So essentially it's basically a liquidity sweep and then an entry candle, which is basically typically what everybody knows, right? Okay, we wait for a liquidity sweep and then our entry candle. But the difference here is we are literally using candlestick patterns. We're not using fair value gaps. We're not using all those random, complicated words, mitigation, anything. Now we're only using simple price action pattern, right? But also a Doji candle, right, can also be where the body is in the middle of both wicks. So that to me is the Doji candle. So we have two different types of Doji candles: the small, body Doji candle, and then the big body Doji candle. So with that being said, literally, right, the first example here is price came and gave us a Doji candle at our area of interest, which was right here. And then price now gave this structure a sell structure. When price now sold like this, this was a sell structure. And when that sell structure now formed, price then now gave our entry candle, which is now going to be our Shooting Star right there. Boom. And as you can see, that Shooting Star candle was able to give you a 1 to 3 risk to reward. That's the first example. Now the second example is right here also. Same thing too. Price gives a Doji candle right there. Price takes out the high of that Doji candle, and then price now gives a Shooting Star, literally. And then same thing again. While price was now selling, price then now gave another Shooting Star entry again right there. Hence why we have like two back-to-back entries. But I was actually able to take this specific trade right there, and as you can see, we're actually able to avoid this liquidity sweep. Why? Because number one, we're not greedy and we simply targeted a 1 to 2 risk to reward. Now the power of this SDI entry model is going to be in the drawdown, meaning that this strategy, to me, I believe, right, is meant for you to go into a drawdown first. Why? Because that is literally where the power is, in the sense of that 1 to 2 risk to reward that you're targeting can turn into a 1 to 10, right? So in this second example here, or this third example, you're going to see that when price gave a Doji candle right there, all I did was mark out that Doji candle and then waited for price to take out the low, which it did. When price took out the low of that Doji candle, it then now gave our entry, which is now going to be a Shooting Star. Now we took that trade, boom, stop loss just directly or almost directly below that candle, targeting a 1 to 2 risk to reward. Boom. Right? Now here's the thing. You can see that in the next hour, when price gave us our entry, price literally went into a drawdown. Now that drawdown is basically what we are looking for, because now in that drawdown you can literally go and enter from the bottom there, and that 1 to 2 has now turned into a 1 to 7. Literally, that's simple. So now we don't have to target like this big long like 1 to 10 risk to reward. Now all you literally have to do is maximize the 1 to 2 risk to reward. When you maximize that, imagine if you now held even longer now. So in this case here, if I give an example here, in this specific trade, right, if I was to target a 1 to 2 risk to reward right there, now price obviously, as you can see, went into a drawdown, right? It went into a drawdown. Now that drawdown was a 1 to 10. Now imagine if you had held this trade all the way down there. Now it has turned into a 1 to 22 risk to reward. Why? Because literally you have maximized the 1 to 2 risk to reward, right? But this is basically what the SDI entry model is. And guys, this SDI entry model works also in the daily time frame. I'll give an example again in the daily time frame. You can see, right, that literally price gave a doji candle right here. When price gave this doji candle in the daily time frame, all we had to do was wait for price to take out the low of that doji candle, which it did. When it took out the low, the next step is to now wait for your entry candle, which is now going to be the shooting star. Always the shooting star. Price gives a shooting star candle, meaning now that in the daily time frame, it has now decided that, hey, I want to buy. So all you have to do in the daily time frame is literally just take your entry, stop loss below, write the candle, and then target a 1 to 2 risk to reward. So now in the daily time frame, you know that long term price wants to buy. So now if I was to go back to the 1 hour time frame, you don't need to be scared or anything like that, because overall we know that price wants to buy long term in the daily time frame. Hence why price did all this noise, and as you can see, price beautifully just bought all the way up here, right? But as you can see, guys, literally this is what the SDI entry model is all about, right? You waiting for price to reach your area of interest, then price gives you a doji candle, and then price takes out the low of that doji candle, and then price now gives you an entry candle inside that doji candles, in between the wick of like basically that space there. So when price gives you that doji candle and then it gives you your entry candle, which is now the shooting star, that is where you now take the trade. Now here's the kicker: you don't just take any entry, right? Because even here too, if I was to zoom in, you can see that price gave a doji candle and then give a shooting star right there. But you can see that price took us out if we were to take our sell entry from there, right? So now you have to now add in structure and understand right, a bearish and a bullish structure, and how like you can basically dodge losing trades or dodge trades that will get you stopped out by simply just waiting for a bearish signal when you're looking to sell and a bullish signal when you're looking to buy. So in this case here, guys, because price has already given us a bullish trend, right? If you're going to look for sells, you simply have to wait for price to give you a sell entry, not a buy entry, right? Like what I mean by it is like basically price did give us a sell entry right there, but it's not a bearish signal. It's simply a bullish signal for sells, which we're not looking for, unless price has already given a structure, right? So I'll give you another example again. So in this case here, right, price has not given us any structure that, hey, it wants to sell. The only structure it has given us is that bearish candle, which is basically this right here. So now because price has given us that curve that, hey, it wants to curve down now, then you can now take any buy entries like signal. Like if you can take, let's say for example, now you dodged this entry. Why? Because price is literally still buying, right? Now because price has given you this bearish signal here, now you can take any other signal that you want. So now you can take this signal right here, which is like a bullish shooting star. But because price has already given us this curve down, then we can take the entry. I can give you another example again. So as you can see here, right, price, right, came and gave us a doji candle at our area of interest, right? Now when it gives us a doji candle, the next step is to wait for our entry candle, which is now going to be the shooting star. So price needs to take out the high of that doji candle, which it did. As you can see, it did right there. But if you notice, this was not my entry. I had to wait for price to give me a structure, right? Because price has already taken out, has already like basically broken that high. So how do you know that price wants to now sell back down. It's based on the structure right there. So if I was to undo this and then zoom, you're going to see that price finally gave a bearish candle, which signifies that, okay, it wants to now retrace back down. And then it now gave this beautiful structure. You can see there's a structure right there, right? Boom. So just this has now said, okay, price wants to start selling. Why? Because it's basically like a higher low in a sense, right? Because price came, gave a high, retraced, and then gave this higher low and then retraced back down, meaning, okay, the structure has shifted, right? So in that case, when price now gave a shooting star candle, which is a buying shooting star, we didn't have to wait for price to give a sell shooting star. Why? Because price has already given us the structure that we're looking for. But in this case here, right, where price simply just sold back down here, the reason why we took this trade is because price gave us a bearish candle, right? So in this case here, price, right, gave a bearish candle. But if I was to go back here, right, price gave a bullish candle. So we needed to wait for a sell structure first before we then now take this bullish entry again, as you can see. But here, we don't need to wait for a sell structure. Why? Because price has given a sell candle. Literally that simple. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in a different video. Peace.